In this episode of Creator to Leader, we're going to dive into the 3 major reasons your content might be falling flat during your launches, during your promotion seasons, and we're going to provide 3 very simple, actionable strategies to turn things around. Tune in to learn how to create content that captivates, engages, and converts your audience. But first, I want to remind you, if you found value on this podcast, please take 2 minutes to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It is truly the best way to help the show grow. And I want to share this recent review that meant a lot to me. This is by AJ, and they say, "So glad I stumbled upon Creator to Leader podcast. This show is great and Eugenia is a gem. Her style is so authentic and her advice is clear, resonant, and actionable. She holds my attention with a fun personality and strong messaging. I started with episode 10 and now I've bookmarked that episode to listen again and again. Highly recommended." Well, thank you so much, AJ. And for everyone else, I'm going to leave that episode 10, down in the show notes in case you want to reference it. But if you haven't, again, just 2 minutes, leave a review what this show has helped you with. And it truly, truly makes a difference. So now on to the episode. Welcome to Creator to Leader. Are you struggling to connect with your ideal customers online? Are you confused about the most effective way to market your business? If you're ready to become the go-to expert in your industry and stand out from the crowd, this podcast is for you. Hey, I'm Eugenia. That's Eugenia in Spanish, but you can call me E. My mission is to help entrepreneurs stand out online so that they can grow their businesses. I do this through comprehensive marketing strategies, impactful content plans, and storytelling leadership. We both know you are running on caffeine and big dreams, so let's dive right in. As I said, your launch is not always the launch of an offer. It could be the launch of a product or an idea, a campaign for nonprofit, a podcast, a book, or obviously an offer. And when I launched this podcast, Creator to Leader, I was really focused at first on making it perfect. I wanted to follow all the steps, the tutorials, make things right. And I kind of forgot to infuse my personality in it completely. And halfway through, so my podcast launched at the end of September, and halfway through August, so a month in, I had so many things decided already. I chose to make a little pivot because I realized that, yes, I had the strategy and I had helped so many other business owners launch and grow successful podcasts. But at the end of the day, the secret sauce lies in you and what you're bringing to your audience. So I scratched a lot of the strategy, quote unquote, that I had and started to rethink how could this strategy work for me and how could I make it my own. And what I found was this theme of this campaign of showcasing what being a leader truly meant, and really going on this topic of leadership outside of what we think about it when we think about the corporate world. So this topic of leadership when it comes to your content, of moving people through a transformation, inspiring action, serving people. Leaders have this mentality of service above everything. And I really wanted to focus on that. So I created a series of pieces. I ended up creating a microfilm with my husband. It was amazing. And with my audience, that is not a massive audience on social media or my email list, we were able, and I say we because truly it was a collective effort, to take the podcast to rank number 38 on Apple Podcast when it launched. And that is huge because there are so many podcasts out there. And the fact that we were able to rank just speaks to how connected people felt with the invitation to be part of this campaign. And this podcast has absolutely transformed my business, my life, my purpose. So it just kind of clicked for me how important it is to have this campaign that really speaks to this foundation, this foundational message that we've talked about in previous episodes. So I started looking at other people's launches and clients and just friends coming at me, trying to figure out how to make the content work for their launch, or why, if they have followed a blueprint for a launch, it hadn't worked for them. And based on everything I've noticed with my clients, with just people online, even celebrities and the launch of their albums, I've been able to identify 3 main reasons why your launch is not resonating with your audience. It's not that you need 10,000 more followers. So that's like myth number one that we need to bust. Right now, it is not about the number of followers, but about the way in which you are able and capable and lead your audience to take an action that you want through your campaign. So in my case was to download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review. But in your case, it might be a product that you are launching and you want them to sign up for your masterclass or sign up for the waitlist or buy your actual product, whatever it is. The goal of these launches, of these marketing campaigns, are to move people from inaction to action. How do you move them? Through engaging content. So of course, it is frustrating when we see that the content is not performing how we would love for it to perform. So there are usually three main reasons. Reason number one, your message is too convoluted and you are trying to solve too many problems at once. Especially now, after 2020, things exploded in the online space. During 2020, probably the next 2 years, and people started getting more savvy and just understanding the online space a little bit better. So generic things like business growth or getting confident, those things don't really speak to a clear transformation. And we don't really know what, for example, business growth means. So is it growing my income? Is it growing my freedom? Is it growing like my next offer? Avoid generic messaging. Use and choose concise language. And this is hands down number one issue I see, and I've been guilty of it as well. And again, this applies to your offer launches, to your product, to your podcast. If you want to solve all of the problems, you're not really inviting me to a story, to a transformation. You are just sharing a little bit of information. I'm not really clear. And confused people don't buy. Confused people don't take action. So solution to this problem is have a clear message to what is the problem that you're solving through this offer that you're making. And by offer, I'm being generic, whatever it is you're launching. Then reason number two is that you don't have a campaign theme. You don't have a theme that's cohesive around your campaign. So you are just creating generic content, generic ideas. And I'm all for strategy. I'm all for frameworks. And I've taken courses with some amazing people. And I definitely believe in having those tools and those frameworks in place, because when you have those tools and frameworks in place, your creativity can flow because you kind of have the correct prompts to kind of guide your creativity. But if you only focus on the templates, on the cookie cutter strategies, and forget about adding yourself, your brand, your personality, your values into the content, into the campaign theme, then you're not going to get the engagement you want, because you're making content that is being made 1,000 times over on the internet. Like literally, for the most part, in the online space, there might be another person doing the tangible deliverable that you are, but you are the only one with your perspective, with your personality, with your values, and with just the overall transformation that starts with interacting with you. So it's so important that you infuse your personality into the content via a campaign theme. Something I see a lot of the times is that we have these brand models, and these are the people that we really look up to, and they have strategies and frameworks that work for them over and over again. And then we try them ourselves and it doesn't work for us. The thing is that those frameworks were built for that person's personality, if that makes sense. Like those frameworks and structures are aligned with who they are. So sure, a launch strategy, listen to the framework, listen to the structure, listen to the little boxes that you have that you are then being able to create. So look at these frameworks as your Canva for your creation. And then each of these canvases, which is the structure and the framework, you are able to be free within that framework. But you don't want to go crazy either, because you don't want to confuse people, which is why I recommend having a campaign theme, a cohesive story that's creative. And by creative, I don't mean artistic or you like actually painting a canvas with oil painting. No, I mean something that came out of your brain and that really speaks to your audience about who you are and the transformation that you provide. Reason number 3, you haven't built the connections. And this is what Kelsey from Coming Up Roses, she calls the warm up, and she has a private podcast on how to warm up your audience ahead of a launch. I definitely recommend it because she goes into every little detail. So 100% go give it a listen. But basically, as I mentioned in the beginning, people are smart, they're savvy. And this is not only on social media, but also in real life. So when we only show up to sell them stuff, we are not generating relationships. We haven't talked to them. So it feels weird. It's kind of like, ew, get out of here. Like, you haven't talked to me. I keep thinking about, this cringy style of doing multi-level marketing, which is not every company, but a lot of people, they reach out to you after they haven't talked to you in 5 years, and they just tell you, oh, I've been following you online. You are so great. You would definitely crush it in this opportunity. And you're like, you don't know anything about my life. You don't know anything about myself. So you don't want to start just out of the blue selling things to your audience and expecting that they will engage. You have to create that relationship. And the best way to do that is inviting them into the journey with you, the journey of what you are building, of what you are launching. Give them an opportunity to feel special by supporting you. Make this feel like a collective effort. And the way I'm doing it right now is I'm building the next season of my business, the version 2.0 of my offer in public with my audience on Instagram. And I'm not doing it just because it's a strategy and I have a date and a time where I'm gonna make the offer, which probably an offer is gonna come and I don't feel shame around it. But I really, truly am engaging in conversations. I wanna hear where they're at. I wanna help them if they're maybe are going through the same thing as me. Maybe they are working on something new and I can provide some insights now that they're super fresh because I'm going through it as we speak. I'm able to give them those insights and we can help each other and foster that sense of she really cares for me. So nurture those relationships. Walk together with your audience and don't be so obsessed about the people that you don't have yet that you lose sight of the people that are with you and are in the journey with you. So there you have it. You have a clear message, a unique campaign theme, and building genuine connections as the keys to creating captivating, engaging content. Avoid the mistakes of being confusing, of not having a theme, of not building the connections and not building the relationships. And I want to remind you, if you found the value of this podcast, please take 2 minutes to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to help the show grow. Because then when someone looks at a podcast, they want to see what other people are saying, what other people are valuing about the podcast. So if this is you, if you want to kind of give another person the insight of what you found valuable, leave the review on Apple Podcast. And as you plan your next launch, keep these strategies in mind. Avoid those mistakes. Make sure that your themes and your campaign reflect your personal brand and build those connections with your audience. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Creator to Leader. If you have any questions or stories to share, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at eugenia.wu. I love hearing from you and I'm here to support you every step of the journey. Thank you again for listening. And remember, your unique voice and your unique story are what makes your brand stand out. See you next time. Un beso. I hope you loved this episode. If you connected with the podcast in some way, please rate it and review it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That is the #1 way you can support the show. And because sharing is caring, share it with a fellow entrepreneur wanting to become a leader, not just a creator. I am so grateful for you. I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a DM over to @eugenia.wu. That's @EUGENIA.WOO. And if you only send me a microphone emoji, I will know that you stayed till the end. Thank you for listening. See you soon.